Hi there, I'm Marcus, and welcome to TalkSober.com. You know, when I first started to figure out if I was an alcoholic or if I had trouble drinking or couldn't stop drinking or whatever you want to label it, I was really hung up on different names. And I went to many different websites to find out, am I an alcoholic? Can I moderate? Is there a way to quit drinking without rehab or AA or something like that? And I read lots and lots of different books and things like that, including the Big Book and Staying Sober and some big textbooks they give to people that are in addiction treatment and things like that. And I had a really hard time coming to grips with the stigma of, am I an alcoholic? So let's answer that question for you once and for all. Now, I know if you go to website after website, they're going to say, here's the 10 things that mean you're an alcoholic. Here's the 5 things that you have that make you an alcoholic, or whatever it is. And what I want to do is I want to kind of sum it up once and for all, because to me, there's really only 2 things that determine an alcoholic if you can't stop drinking and things like that. So these 2 things will help you out. So number 1 is the big question, can you stop? Okay? That is the biggest thing here. Can you stop? If you were to say, well, you know what, I'm going to quit for good. Because for me, years ago, when I first started trying to stop, I was able to stop for a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most, but I always ended up going back. I always ended up drinking, and it wasn't like I planned it. Right? It wasn't like I said, hey, 3 weeks, yay, wonderful, let's go celebrate. It was something that caused me to drink, something external, something in my mind that just kind of flipped my lid, whether it was subconscious, conscious, or whatever. I'd just be going along, having my 3 weeks of sobriety, and bam, all of a sudden, I'd end up, ordering something at lunch or whatever it was, and then 3 days later, I was asking myself what happened. So, number 1, the first question I want you to ask yourself honestly is, can you stop? How many times have you tried to stop? How many commitments have you made to yourself to stop? And how many times have you broken that? So that's number 1. If you're having trouble stopping, if you can't stop on your own, to me, that means you probably have a problem. Number 2, which is a big one, is let's see if we can spell correctly, do you continue to drink despite negative consequences? All right? Do you continue to drink despite negative consequences in your life? Are there things that are affected, your health, your mindset, your work, your family, your time, all these things, right? Are there different things? Some people have legal issues, right? Are you continuing to drink despite negative consequences? Because if we look at this, right, we want to look at this. No sane person in their mind would continue to hit themselves over the head with a hammer if it caused pain, right? Now, the same thing's going on here. You're continuing to do something despite negative consequences, despite the repercussions, despite the bad things going on, you're continuing to do something over and over and over again. And if you look up the definition of insanity, it's continuing to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, right? So if I continue to drop something on my foot and I say, well, if I keep dropping it, pretty soon it's not going to hurt, it's going to feel good. Right? That means I'm pretty much an insane person. Now, the same thing's going on here in your brain, right? The same thing's going on. Number 1, if you can't stop. And number 2, if you continue to do something despite negative consequences and you can't stop, then there is a problem. Okay? Now, whether you want to call that problem alcoholism, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter what label we put on this. What matters is, how do we get good consequences in our life? How do we change this around, right? How do we stop the thing that's doing us harm, and how do we do things that are going to make us better? Because I got to tell you, 3 years ago, when I first decided to get help, I didn't know what to do, right? My life was in shambles. On the outside, it looked good. I had a house, family, everything like that. But inside, I was going crazy. Inside, my mind was going nuts. I was wondering, am I an alcoholic? What's wrong with me? Why can't I beat this? What is going on? I couldn't stop no matter what I did, and I kept doing it despite negative consequences. I mean, here I am, a family man, and I keep drinking even though I know it hurts my family. I keep doing this even though I know it's affecting my business, even though I know it's affecting these negative things. So the question is, you got to look at this one of two ways. Number one, we're just nuts. Okay? We could be down the road wacko. We just like doing things. We like screwing up our own life by our own hand by continually drinking. Okay? We look at that, we say, well, am I? Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay? The second thing we can look at is there chemical dependency? Right? What is chemical dependency? What does this mean? What this means is that your mind and your body have now made you need this chemical, this alcohol, to function. Right? You might not see it. You might think, fine, great, wonderful, whatever, I just like this. But your body is now becoming immune to it, and your body is now depending on it. Right? It thinks that it needs it to live, which is why we can't stop no matter what we do. So if you're wondering if you are in fact an alcoholic, number one, can you stop? Try it out. Maybe you have, right? Number two, are you continuing to drink despite negative consequences in your life? If these two things are lining up, chances are, radar, bam, 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 we have a problem. So what I want you to do right now, before you go and, put a hat on that says I'm an alcoholic or whatever it is, right? That's how I thought when I was drinking. I was like, okay, once I say this, does it make it true? And is it some stigma? Well, the fact of the matter is forget about the name right now. Let's forget about the name and let's talk about the problem, right? The problem is, one, you can't stop. Two, you continue to drink despite negative consequences in your life. Now let's talk about how to get help with this problem. Let's talk about what to do now that we know this is a problem, right? And what I want you to do right now is I want you to go over to talksober.com. Go to talksober.com. Once you're on the page, there's going to be a little button on the top that says test. Okay? What I want you to do is I want you to fill out that test. Okay, if you're already on the site, the test will be up above and you'll see it. Just click the link and it'll take you to the test. What I want you to do is I want you to fill this test out. Okay, I personally read these because I personally care about you getting help. Okay, I have other businesses that make me lots of money. This is something I do mainly because I care about people and I don't want you to go down the same road I went down. It wasn't fun. It ended in a 5150, which we'll talk about later, and I had major consequences in my life. So I don't want you to get that far. So go there, talksober.com, click the test button. Take the test. We'll find out, hey, you know what? Is there a problem? And we're going to get you the help that you need. So I want you to ask these questions honestly. It doesn't matter how much you drink, right? If you drink one over and over and over and it's causing you negative consequences, there's a problem. If you drink 100 over and over and over again and you have negative consequences, there's a problem. Okay, so the amount doesn't matter, the time doesn't matter, if you hide it doesn't matter, right? Let's look at these two things. Number one, can you stop? Number two, are you continuing despite negative consequences? Again, my name is Marcus from TalkSober.com. What I want you to do is go there, take the test, right? Take that test, figure it out, get help if you need help, okay? Number two, go to TalkSober.com, check out the other videos we have, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. There is going to be tons and tons of videos that's going to help you deal with this. Over the last 3 years, I've read tons of stuff, I've done tons of study, and I've found out what works for me, and I believe it'll work for you too, because a lot of us are the same. A lot of us deal with the same exact issues. So go over there, check out my letters. There's also a letter for those of you who want to moderate drinking called Can You Moderate Drinking? And if so, what do you do? All right, so there's lots of tools. So go over to TalkSober.com, first take the test, then check out the other videos. I'm Marcus, and I'll see you in the next video, and I look forward to helping you get the help you need and becoming sober and living the life that you want to live. Thanks again.